so excited that I am here. I have so much great information to offer today for Mindset Mondays, which is a new first and third series that I am putting out under MSing Around, which is my non-for-profit, which is all about finding joy and ease in living with an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are running rampant in these streets right now. Like, they are taking over. It is so many people that are struggling with autoimmune disease, chronic inflammation, and just overall body discomfort. And then in today's political climate and everything that's happening around us and all the stressors that are being bombarded our way, it is very difficult to combat this chronic inflammation. So that's what today's Monday Mindset is all about. It's about using joy as a nervous system regulator. As somebody that was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2013 and also diagnosed with bipolar mania 6 months prior to that, and also having lost a 15-month-old daughter 1 year before all of that, I had a lot of things to be sad about. I had a lot of things to be, I had a lot of pain that I could have held on to. But over the last 15 years or so, I have really made it a focus of mine to find the joy, the micro joys is what I like to call them, in the small things, right? There are things out here in the world that we can focus on because we have confirmation bias, so we can look for the drama and the trauma, or we can switch that confirmation bias and look for the joy and the peace and the happiness. So that is what this Mindset Monday is all about. It's about how do we find that peace, that joy, right, in our day, and distinguishing the difference between happiness and joy. Because I said the peace and the happiness, but I want to be clear that happiness is fleeting. And I think that we sometimes look for being happy when if that's the goal, we will always be searching and we will always be a little bit unregulated. So yeah, let's just talk about real quick the difference between happiness and joy. I wrote down some notes because I wanted to be prepared. But happiness, it's even in the word happiness. Happy is about what's happening. It's what's happening right now, right? Is this moment, are these circumstances making me happy? If it's pouring down raining, or like we've had in the last couple weeks here, it's just nonstop snow and ice and just really icky weather conditions. All that's happening out there, is that making me happy? I have to go to work. I have to drive through this. I have to go out. I have to clean off my car. This makes me unhappy, right? But you can be joyful. You can have a deep-seated knowing that just because I have to go out here and clean off my car and drive through this does not devalue me as a person. It is not attached to my worth. It doesn't mean that I am incapable of existing because I have to go through this thing. So no, this doesn't make me happy, but it doesn't also detract from my joy. Joy, on the other hand, is a state of being. It's who we are, how we show up, do I show up in joy? And so as somebody that has had like a mountain of just situations happen left and right constantly, I've had to ask myself, do I want to be moved by these situations? Because these situations keep coming at me and it seems like there's no way for me to avoid it. And maybe I'm coming at it. Maybe I'm calling in these things into my life. I don't know, but they're present regardless of the fact. And the fact that they're present makes me wonder, like, okay, what can I do to still maintain some sense of nervous system regulation in the process of these things being around? So nervous system regulation is, all about maintaining a sense of a lower level of stress in order not to be inflamed. And if I'm worried about being happy all the time, then I'm probably going to be stressful all the time because situations happen that is going to disrupt my happiness. So that's why joy is such a good thing to cultivate and use as a nervous system regulation. And we can do that through a multitude of different ways, right? We can find joy in having a fitness routine. We can have joy in having a journaling practice. We can find joy in meditation. We can find joy in our tea in the morning. We can find joy in these little simple things that show up in our day-to-day lives, and how we just revel and be present with that thing. That is a big factor in joy, is presence, which is why joy is about being. It's about showing up and being there for yourself. And I don't mean showing up like doing anything. Like, I'm showing up for myself today by going and doing all these amazing things that brings me happiness. No, it's about just being present with myself. Like, I'm here for myself today. These negative thoughts that I might be having and struggling with are not a determinant of my worth, because we all have negative thoughts. We all have ideas about what we can and cannot do. And if we get attached to those thoughts, then it adjusts our being, and it makes us feel like, oh, I'm unworthy. And and it's about being. So I'm kind of getting tangled up in my own words here, but joy is about being. It's about peace. It's about meaning. It's about presence. Happiness is about pleasure. It's about pleasure. Is this moment bringing me pleasure right now? And if it's not, then I can't be happy. So within being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and any type of chronic illness, it's really important to know that my being is grounded and rooted in joy, because some days I'll wake up in pain. And so if happiness is about pleasure, I'm in pain. So I'm obviously not pleased right now. Does this mean that I can no longer go throughout this day? No, I still have to get up and go throughout this day. So I know that I can be in pain and still have joy. I know that I can be grieving and still have joy, right? Like I said, I've been grieving the loss of my daughter for years. And even in the midst of that grief, I've still been trying to find ways to bring joy to my life, because I have other people that I live for. I have other adult daughter. I have other daughters. They weren't adults at the time, but I have other daughters that I'm living for. I have a husband that I'm living for. I have friends, and I have connections, and I have people that I am still showing up for in spite of this loss. So you can still find joy even in grief. And sometimes grief doesn't look like a person dying, or sometimes grief looks like relationships ending. Sometimes grief looks like, I've had to grieve my mobility some days. Some days I've woken up and had less strength on the right side of my body, and less strength in my arm when I go to pick something up. And I've had to grieve that moment to say, oh my God, what if this never comes back? But that can't be the determinant of my joy. And so that's what, the whole basis of messing around, is about finding that joy and ease, and so that we can continue to show up for ourselves on a daily basis. We can be sad and be joyful. And that's that both and. I struggled with both and for a very long time with my own therapist, and just like, well, this isn't fair, or this should be like this. And I'm a Libra. Like, I'm a Libra sun, I'm a Libra moon. It's in my chart 5 different times. Like, I am for real about balance. And my therapist would always tell me, Kelly, but isn't it both and? Can it be both things at once? Can two realities coexist and not just be so black and white? And I've had to really understand that about myself in how I show up. Like, some days I don't feel my best. Some days I am sad. Some days I am in a mood. But that is not a determinant of my worth. That is not a determinant of the inner joy that I feel about being alive in general. That is not a determinant of the inner joy that I can continue to cultivate with the tools that I have equipped myself with, So joy is there, knowing that you can say, I'm more than this flare up, right? This thing is happening, but I still have joy. So today's Mindset Monday is about asking, do you have that deep-seated joy, or are you chasing happiness? Have you been allowing yourself to get attached to this idea that if all these things work out for you in the way that you see fit, then you will find happiness there? Or just knowing that everything is always working out for you anyway, even if everything isn't in order. I actually have that as a saying on my wall up here, my office wall. Everything is always working out for me I don't know if you can see that or if I'm even holding that right, but I have that up there because I truly believe that everything is always working out for me. And I've believed that for quite some time, for many, many years. So even in the midst of loss, even in the midst of diagnosis, even in the midst of being told no or opportunities being bypassed and me not getting the role, I'm an actress, right? Me not getting the role, me not getting the big time show, me not getting JFL, all these different things that I'm always auditioning for, always going out for, right? I've had to tell myself that that is not a determinant of my worth. That does not determine whether or not I am good enough in today, right? And is there something that I can do on my end to make these opportunities more possible, right? Can I study a little bit more? Can I read? Can I do whatever? Maybe, but right now it doesn't determine that I'm worthy or I'm not worthy. So yes, Mindset Monday is knowing that everything is always working out for you, even when everything doesn't feel like it's working out for you. It's still working out for you. And I say that all the time. Everything is always working out for me. If you follow any Abram Hicks or anything like that, she is the one that kind of introduced that concept of everything is always working out for you. And I have embodied that ever since I saw that video some 15 years ago. Everything is always working out for me. It is working out for me. 16 years ago. I think actually it was like 20 years ago when I first saw that Abram Hicks video. Everything is always working out for me. And I truly believe that. And so in the process of that time, I've had extreme loss. In the process of that time, I've had diagnosis. In the process of that time, I've lost my mobility. I've lost vision in my left eye. I remember when that happened. And let me tell you, I was on set of a commercial. I was on set of a sausage commercial. I don't even remember which sausage commercial it was, but if you Google it, you can find it on YouTube. But I was on set of this sausage commercial, and I remember doing my role. I was a mother, and my kids were having a sleepover. My boys were having a sleepover, and I was making them some easy dishes to eat for the sleepover. And as I'm cooking, I'm like, oh my God, I can't see over here. Everything just seems like a blur. What is going on, right? And so I'm getting nervous. And I also drive a luxury vehicle, right? Or ain't that luxury no more. It's 11 years old. So sis is she don't have all the bells and whistles. But at the time, right, this was about 8 years ago. At the time, she was fairly new, and I had taken her in for maintenance. So I was in a loaner vehicle. So I'm in this loaner vehicle, right? I'm on set, and I know that being on set, I can't voice that this thing is happening to me, because if I voice this publicly to them, that for one, they're going to probably fire me, and for two, that's going to kind of go on my record of this is what happened on set with her, so be cautious to hiring her. They say they don't discriminate on disabilities and color and race and all and gender and all that, but come on, sis, I would not have been able to be on that set again or any other sets moving forward. So I didn't say anything. I was like, nope, I'm not going to say anything. So I don't say anything about it. I get off set. I drive this loaner vehicle that I am in back home. I get an eye patch, and I drive that same loaner vehicle to the Laugh Factory, and I do a show that night. And I talk about how, oh God, I can't lose vision. How am I going to check my husband's text messages now? And I find joy in it. And I knew that it was a symptom of the multiple sclerosis. I knew that it was optic neuritis because I had Googled it while I was on set. And I saw that this is a thing that can happen when extreme inflammation builds up behind the eye. And I was like, oh my God. And so, but there's no guarantee that my vision would have come back. There's no, for sure, yes, your vision's coming. There was no guarantee, but I still did those things. I drove home. I got an eye patch from a Halloween thing that we had did previously that a few months back. Got that, got on stage and found joy in it anyway. Scary as it may have been, as annoying as it may have been, as risky and dangerous as it may have been, I still found joy. And so that's the basis of this whole thing, is where can we find joy? And so I have some journal prompts as we wrap this up. I want to say, I didn't want it to be 15 minutes, but it's 14, 56, so what it is. But as we wrap this up, I want to know, what brings your body peace? What brings your body peace? Have you asked yourself that question? And if not, ask it now. What brings your body peace? 2, what controllable stressors are creating inflammation in your body right now? What controllable stressors are creating inflammation in your body right now? And so when I say controllable stressors, I mean like maybe some little petty parking war you may have going on with your neighbor, right? Can you subside the pride and just go ahead and park somewhere else in order to lessen those controllable stressors in yourself, in order to lessen the inflammation? Because inflammation in our body is our protective response to threat, injury, and stress. That's what it is. And so how do we create more stress? Can we maybe not answer that cousin's call knowing that they're probably just going to call and be talking about this other cousin that you don't want to hear right now? Can you lessen that? So what controllable stressors are creating inflammation in your body right now, and how can you lessen them? And then last but definitely not least, what small micro joys can you tune into today to combat chronic inflammation in your body? What small micro joys can you tune into today to help combat chronic inflammation in your body? So those small micro joys can be, the other day it was so much snow and it was coming down and it was aggressive. And then right as it ended, I saw a cardinal fly over to a tree. And I just sat and stared at that cardinal for as long as I could until it flew away. And it was just so refreshing. It was so freeing. And it just really brought me a sense of peace that I didn't have, because I was like, oh, it's very yucky outside. And I wanted to go to the gym and I wanted to do all these things. And now I'm, affected by weather. And instead I was able to tap into that micro joy. Also, something I do is, in the evening, I write in my little journal. I write about my day. I have a planner and I have a little book of grace that I use. This right here, the little book of grace. And it's a grace and gratitude journal that it's just 3 lines. And I just document, what I'm grateful for and what I give myself grace for. And I ask myself some questions. And I just take a moment to do that at the end of my day with a nice cup of tea, right? Maybe some nettle tea, a little bit of honey. Nettle tea is anti-inflammatory. So now I'm doing a both and right there. And that's a micro joy. That is a simple little small thing that I am able to tap into in my own little space, not needing any external factors, right? It's all internal. And that is the basis of joy, finding that internal peace, that stability, that groundedness. So I challenge you, until the next time we meet, which will be on the 3rd Monday of the month. I am going live every 1st and 3rd Monday with these Mindset Mondays to help us combat chronic inflammation in the body. How can we find more joy and ease in living with the autoimmune disease? How can we protect ourselves from all that is, because there's always going to be something going on out there. And that is where happiness is affected. But in here is where joy is stable. So how can we cultivate the inner joy so that out there does not affect us? I'm challenging you. And I believe in you, and I know that everything is always working out for you. And if you believe that too, I guarantee you will start to see it in your reality. I'm sending you love all the way from the cold, chilly Chicago. Mwah.